Welcome to the first episode of Fabulous France with Triple A, live from La Place des Vosges. This is episode 1 of your ultimate FIFA Women's World Cup diaries. We'll do a throwback on the opening match where France destroyed South Korea 4-0, and we will also discuss what to expect from Nigeria and South Africa in their upcoming games against Korea and China respectively. And of course, I'll take you through my Paris experience. Breaking news, Parisians are not arrogant and angry or rude as they sometimes describe themselves, and especially as people say Parisians are. You're going to find out. Guess what? I've made new friends here and collected new fans of Ghana. Stay tuned to find out. You're watching Fabulous France with Triple A, available on my YouTube channel, Triple A Network, and on television in Ghana via Metro TV. And I'm in France by kind courtesy of livesoccertv.com. Remember, it's livesoccertv.com where you can catch all the fixtures, results, and broadcast information to follow the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup. I'm Akua Asante, aka Triple A, and today I'm joined by Dr. Roxane Coche, who is the Associate Director of Sport Journalism and Communication and an Assistant Professor in Telecommunication and Journalism at the University of Florida. She's French, but you wouldn't even notice it. Her English is that good. And of course, not every French person speaks like Arsene Wenger.
Well, thank you, Angela. Yeah, I was born and raised here in France. Spent about 8 years living in Paris, so it's become kind of my home. Yeah, I spent my teenage years and early adulthood years in Paris before moving to the United States. And sorry about my position, it's a little bit of a mouthful.
It's pretty long. It's like a whole sentence. So, Rox, you were at this stadium on Friday night, and you watched the game against between France and South Korea. 4 goals, fantastic performance, and I think it was watched by a bit more than 10 million spectators.
Yeah, that was the peak. I think we don't really have the average audience yet, or at least I haven't seen it in the press. But that's quite impressive for a country of only 65 million people.
65 million people.
Yeah, I'm used to saying 60 million. No, when I left France, it was 60, but now it's 65. Keep growing.
And can you imagine? So 1/6 of the population, roughly, watched the game.
Pretty much. That's impressive. That's unimaginable for a lot of, people my generation in a way.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you think about the reaction from fans, and what do you think also about the reaction, like the coverage from the media? Do you think that they are giving this Women's World Cup enough exposure and enough love, or do you think they're just kind of, touting the area and checking if it's worth watching? Like, do you think that the momentum will continue for the whole tournament or just the opening match?
That's hard to tell. I mean, to be honest with you, I just landed from the US yesterday morning, the morning of the opening match. Okay. So I haven't been able to walk around enough to really have an opinion? Definite impression and a definite opinion. I do think that, what I can say is the atmosphere last night at the game was absolutely phenomenal. It was great. It's been a long time since, not that long, I guess, the Euro 2016 for the men I attended, and it was similar, but for the women it's honestly the first time that I attend a women's game in France with that much enthusiasm.
Yeah, and there were a lot of men in the stands as well, so it's not just reserved for ladies, like a ladies sport for ladies supporters.
Magnifique, grosse victoire. Allez les Bleus, champions du monde. Ouais! Allez les Bleus, cha-la-la-la-la-la. Allez les Bleus, cha-la-la-la-la-la. Gros match des Bleus, magnifique. Les Bleus sont énormes. Elles vont être championnes du monde, les gars. Donc tout ce qu'on peut faire, c'est les supporter jusqu'à la mort. Allez les Bleus! Allez les Bleus! Allez les Bleus! Allez les Bleus! Allez les Bleus!
Ouais! Ouais! I mean, there were were really a lot of men.
There definitely seemed to be more women than at men's games.
Okay.
But there were still a lot of men. And at least where I was sitting behind the French goalkeeper during the first half.
Okay, and the second half? Same place?
Second half, same place, but it's just to give an idea. Like
Okay.
the goals that the first 3 goals in the first half I saw from afar.
From very far, yeah.
And Amandine Henry's goal at the end I saw from very
A
close.
fantastic curling shot. That
beautiful.
was so good.
It was like bended like Beckham's crib, right?
Yes. And you were sat, you said, behind the goalkeeper.
Yes.
I think you had a very good view of the French team when they were just, applauding the fans after the game.
Yes, I did. And I took a video of it that I posted on Twitter. And no, it was great. Honestly, the people around me, I don't know if what we call the irrésistible Gaulois, which is the group of fans for the French national teams. I don't know if they were in my area, but it seemed like it. We sang quite a bit.
It was loud.
It was pretty loud.
Yeah.
Last night when I got home, I called my little brother. And he was like, "Did you scream that much?" And I was like, "Well, it was a little bit of a mix between being tired and screaming and the cold. Oh my God, it was cold.
It was so cold. So we had 13 degrees. I knew it was going to be cold because I checked the weather. So I went with 2 jackets, and then I also had a shirt on and wearing jeans and stuff, and I still caught cold at the end of the night.
See, I flew in from Florida. And I was naive and dumb. I forgot how cold Paris can be in the summer.
Yeah.
And so I was cold.
So, Rox, you recently published a piece denouncing the way organizers of the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup are letting down the women's game. I was wondering if this term was not a bit harsh, because you compared this France 2019 tournament to that of the 2016 European Championship, also hosted by France. And in your article, you also criticized the second-class venues chosen for this Women's World Cup. But the question here is, how would you argue that this tournament actually deserves more big venues, knowing that, organizers don't want the stadiums to look empty?
This year is the 20th anniversary of the 1999 Women's World Cup in the U.S. To this day, it is the biggest women-only sports event.
It is.
That's in the world, right? Originally, the U.S. Soccer Federation and FIFA wanted the tournament to be played in small stadiums on the East Coast only.
Okay.
And the players fought that.
That was in 1999.
Yeah, the players fought that. The organizing committee, a few people on the organizing committee of the tournament fought that, because their idea was, if we organize it in small stadiums, in small venues, we're basically saying, hey, this is kind of like a plan B. You can attend it if you have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
But if we put it at Giant Stadium, which is a huge National Football League game, if we put it at the Rose Bowl, where the final was
huge.
It's huge. Then we're basically saying, hey, this is a premium event, and you guys need to be here. This is history in the making. You need to be here. And they did that, and guess what? The stadium's filled.
Wow.
Right? It worked.
90,000.
That was 20 years ago.
Wow.
There's no reason we can't do this here. I cannot, I've lived in the U.S. for a few years now.
Yeah.
I don't even have enough fingers on my hands to count the number of people who have told me, I planned on going to France 2019, but the final's not in Paris. I don't want to go to Lyon. It's more expensive. It's more time, right? Because when you fly in, then you have to either take another flight or take the train to go to Lyon. And I mean, no disrespect to Lyon whatsoever, but internationally, Paris has more weight.
Yeah.
I mean, Lyon is a great city. But it's not Paris.
So how do you explain the fact that they chose both semifinals and the final to be in Lyon? I initially saw this as a way to kind of spread out everything culturally, in terms of the tourism, for every city to have, a feel of the Women's World Cup. But now that you are saying this, it kind of makes sense. It's as if, in a way, women's football had been cheated.
Yeah, the way I see it, I have no problem with the semifinals being in Lyon. Lyon is kind of the capital of women's soccer, not only in France but also in Europe. I mean, considering how many Champions Leagues they've won and whatnot. But my problem is, this is the World Cup.
Yeah.
Women's World Cup, but it's still the World Cup. Like
it
should be, when we organize the Rugby World Cup, so rugby is not as, popular as football or soccer, but... And so when we organized the Rugby World Cup, I think it was 2003, if I'm not mistaken.
For the men?
For the men. The final was at the Stade de France, which is, the biggest stadium in France, 80,000 seats right about. Instead, we're playing the final in Lyon, which not only is not in Paris or its suburbs, and also it's a smaller stadium. Like, why are we not playing the final in the biggest stadium of the country? I mean, honestly, when I saw that, it was kind of a slap in the face. Again, no disrespect to Lyon, I know what they're bringing to the women's soccer field, but the final of the World Cup should happen in the biggest stadium in France, period. I grew up in a smaller city, so I don't mean to disrespect the province, and I don't mean to disrespect smaller cities, but virtually no international visitor wants to go to Le Havre. Virtually no international visitor wants to go to Valenciennes.
Yeah.
But now, if you're talking about Bordeaux or Toulouse,
they will say,
more people will be willing to go.
But I think Nice is going to attract a lot of people.
Yeah, I think Nice and Lyon and Paris are, the types of cities that they, and even Rennes is fine. Because it's kind of a cool city in Brittany and whatnot. But and I'm from the north of France. I love the north of France. It's my roots. But Le Havre, Valenciennes. Reims at least has a lot of history. I mean, if people are into history, it's not as well known internationally today, but it's got a lot of history with the kings of France and stuff. So, and there's champagne as well. So people tend to be into that. But there are several cities and venues that are questionable. The idea of going to small stadiums is just it shows a lack of ambition. That's what it shows. It shows a lack of ambition.
So I think in terms of marketing, no.
Yeah, I mean it reminds me, actually, 4 years ago in Canada, I asked for the Women's World Cup in Ottawa, and they were like, what sport? And then, like, a few days later, I was in Edmonton, and I asked for the FIFA World Cup, thinking maybe, they would connect the dots, and the answer was, what's FIFA? So, Angie, I have to thank you, because in the beginning of the show, you said that Parisians are not terrible people, so that goes straight through my heart. We're often described as rude and terrible people. So can you tell us about your experience so far?
Yes, experience here in Paris has been absolutely tremendous. If it wasn't for Parisians, I would be totally lost in the streets. Because, I'm very bad at knowing my way around. And people are I know they're very stressed out and they're always in a hurry. But if you ask them a question, they will actually stop. And then they will tell you, okay, you have to do this and do that. And, I ask very basic questions about the subway. Okay, which one do I take? Although there are signs everywhere, just because I want to make sure I don't get lost. And they don't look at me like I'm asking stupid questions. And I know a lot of people will be like, it's so basic. But they are really, really nice. And then there was that lady the other day, random lady, probably my age, and I had the wrong ticket because I didn't know the difference between an RER and subway, something like that. So I was putting my ticket in, and then it said access denied to go out, and she just looked at me, and I didn't even ask, and she said, you know what, I have my pass, my card, so I'm just going to tap it and just be close to me, and then just go through it. And a lot of people will not even ask you, to share this kind of favor. So I think for me, from my experience, they've been super, super nice. And people from different ages, even the kids. So, I mean, teenagers here have been pretty polite, I think. older people as well, and whether they are like French, as in white French people, or with different backgrounds from Algeria or whatever, they've all been very nice. So yeah, but the one thing that has been very difficult for me is the weather.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's great to hear, because if we didn't meet your expectations as
Yes.
far as the weather goes, at least the people kind of like
Yeah,
raised your experience.
exactly, because then you have the warmth of human beings, and I really believe in chaleur humaine. Yes, it's the title of a song of Christine and the Queens, whom I'm going to see on my birthday on June 13th. Okay, guys, announcement: it's my birthday on June 13th. Just saying. So if you want to wish me some stuff or give me some stuff, just post it to my mom at home. I'll give you the address and you give me all the gifts. When I come back from France, back to Ghana, I will take all your gifts. I'm taking gifts. It's open. So send me. yeah. So yeah, and also the experience of the whole World Cup thing has been great. I think security wise, I really want to applaud the organizers, because when you go through security at the media center, we are not even fans, we are journalists, right? So at least we have a level of of clean track record, because if you don't have a clean track record in the first place, FIFA will not even give you accreditation. So we have all that, and yet you have to go through the same process as at the airport, right? So you have to remove everything, your belts, your cameras, you have to open everything, and then they will just check out that everything is fine. And there was that French journalist, I believe a veteran, senior guy, and he just couldn't take it, and he said a swear word, of course, which starts with a P. And he said, oh damn, but we are not terrorists, why are they doing this? So I just turned around and I told him with a big smile, I said, yeah, of course, but I mean, those are the rules, so we just have to comply. I mean, they're just doing their job.
Let me ask you this: you were at the 2015
Women's World Cup, yeah,
in Canada. Did they do the same thing there?
No,
because
at all.
I don't
no,
think they did.
It wasn't. Okay, the difference, I think the World Cup in Canada was pretty much laid back. Everything was pretty much laid back. In Russia, we had a level of security. Yeah, you had to remove your stuff as well, but it wasn't that high.
So maybe FIFA is trying to treat the Women's World Cup a little bit more like the men's, compared to 4 years ago at least.
Yeah,
security wise, that's good to hear.
Yeah, so now you turn into the interviewer. So I'm turning now again into the interviewer and you and the interviewee. So I just want to say thank you so much for being on this first episode of Fabulous France with Triple
Thanks for
A.
having me.
And I hope we will catch you in France as well. Will you watch France against Nigeria?
In Rennes, yeah.
In Rennes?
Yeah.
Okay, so this
I
is
won't
not
be in
us,
Reims.
but in Rennes.
But
all right.
in Rennes.
So
I'll be in Rennes. See you then.
So catch up on that day. Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Awesome.
you. And before we end this show, we need to discuss the outcome of Spain versus South Africa and Norway versus Nigeria from match day 1. I had Chibogu Najegbulam on the line to analyze these matters. Chibu is an international sports reporter from Nigeria.
Hello, Angela. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I may be sounding excited now, but seriously, it was indeed a bad opening day for Africa at the Women's World Cup. Now, this is not because I was expecting so much from South Africa and Nigeria against their European opponents, but I still had great hope. I mean, in spite of knowing that football development in Africa is still lagging behind, we're still trying to catch up with the rest of the world. Of course, in their game against Spain, South Africa had that shaky start, their World Cup debut and all, but they managed to settle in the 19th minute, and they saw that they could not compete for possession with Spain and had to rely on their counter-attacks. There was a pacey Catalana up front, so that was okay. It was really amazing to see how the reigning Africa Women's Player of the Year blasted in Bayana's first ever World Cup goal with the first ever shot on target. Marvelous. I can imagine how the whole of Africa would have responded to that, because I had joy overflowing in me. Inexperience, of course, caught up with them in the end. Now, China will be up next for them. It's not going to be any easier for them. They have faced China before. This is not the first time South Africa are on the global stage. This is their first World Cup, yes, but they've been to two Olympics in 2012 and 2016, and they have met China before. It didn't end well. It ended in a loss. They meet China again, and looking at how that Asian side frustrated the world's second ranked team in Germany in the opening game, and even had clear opportunities to score until Julia secured the only goal of the game for Germany, one can imagine that South Africa are in for another huge encounter. I just wish them all the best in that one. Now, speaking of the Super Falcons, they had a promising start, no doubt. The opening exchanges of the game against Norway was pretty even, with no clear-cut chances, of course, but then it was even. Nigeria got the first two corners of the game, but achieved nothing with it. It's not like anyone was expecting anything. We know how it is with set pieces and Nigeria. However, Norway got their first corner and resulted in a goal in the 17th minute, bringing to the fore Nigeria and at large Africa's recurring problems with set pieces. The flow of the ball for Nigeria was a lot easier in the second half, and they were going forward even more. So let's see if Korea Republic will give them that opportunity to express themselves a lot better. The game is up next against Korea Republic. Both teams desperately need to win. South Korea lost 4 goals to nothing to France, and as a matter of fact, did not register any attempt until the 70th minute of that game. I've always thought that if there's any team Nigeria can beat in Group A, it will be South Korea.
It's time to say goodbye from Paris. In episode 2 of Fabulous France with Triple A, we will be in France. And guess what? I will be +1 by then. Yes, my birthday is on June 13th. We will talk about Cameroon, and of course, we will look into the United States game against Thailand. And I cannot wait to see Carly Lloyd and company in action. But for now, au revoir.
Le Ghana, c'est le feu. Le Ghana, c'est le feu. Vive le Ghana!